Well, Raiders of the Lost Ark had a little set-up subplot with Indiana Jones investigating a temple in a jungle somewhere in, what was it, Cambodia or whatever, and he trips a device that's designed to discourage people from going into this temple or this tomb with that famous ball that chased him out of the jungle. And it's got nothing to do with the rest of the story. It is just there to dramatize that he is a combination archaeologist and adventure protagonist. And on the other hand, lots of action stories start much more slowly. We meet the protagonist in their hometown or in the corporation or the government agency they work in, and little by little something goes awry and develops, and then they're off into the action. I think that the choice as to whether or not to start with an action sequence that may be detachable from the rest of the story and it's just there to dramatize exposition, or to use a more of a thriller approach and to creep up slowly into the action. The answer to that is which way do I go, or some combination, is am I holding their attention? If I open slowly, will they lose interest? If I open too fast and then I back off into the exposition, like in Raiders of the Lost Ark, you had that scene in the jungle, and then you step back and he's in a university setting, and the government comes to him and explains about the lost Ark and the need to retrieve it from the Nazis. In either case, you risk boring people, you risk losing their interest, and so whether you start strong or not, it doesn't matter. At some point, you're going to have to deliver exposition. At some point, we're going to have to understand the mission that's at stake here, and the details of it, who the antagonist is, or some indication of that, and what the MacGuffin is, and why the MacGuffin is important. And so you're going to have exposition. Whether you start with the exposition or start with action, then fill in the exposition. When you get to the exposition stage, the problem always is, am I holding their interest? And just because you've started with action doesn't necessarily mean that the expositional sequences will hold interest. And so you always have to write well. I mean, you always have to write those setup scenes. You have to write that exposition in a way that holds interest. I think one of the best uses of a combination of that was in the film Predator. When Arnold Schwarzenegger and his commando team go into South America, they're there to rescue some people who have been captured by rebels or terrorists, and in the process, the alien from outer space has arrived in the jungle, and the action, the political action and the science fiction action get merged, and the exposition gets dramatized really well in that case through the action sequence. So I suppose that, I don't know how to rank these things, but the notion that you have to start either with action or start with exposition could be defeated if you can find a way to weave the exposition into the opening action. But often not. And there's that scene when M comes to James Bond and says, James, there's a master criminal out to end civilization as we know it today, James, scene. And if it's well written, we certainly won't lose interest.